Yes, yes, yes.
Welcome, everybody.
Welcome. It is Tarsh.
And I am Ray D.
And together we are blessed friends. Throw some Z's on that quickly.
I want a lot of Z's on that. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just know today has to be a blessed day, okay?
Why so?
Because it's so many delays trying to happen. But what did Dr. Eddie Connor say?
Yes, delay,
but not
denied.
Okay, so we're not denied today. So it is Men's Health Month, okay?
Yes.
And we have a phenomenal man here.
We do.
That's gracing our platform again, Dr. Eddie Connor Jr.
He's back.
He is back, okay? He was here with us back in March promoting his Dear Queen book, Volume 2. Yeah. So, you guys, it's still for purchase.
And y'all can go grab Volume 1, too.
And
we have both here.
Yes. But he is back here on Blessed Friends to talk about his new book. 14th book, okay? Mm-hmm. The man is on fire. Okay, he was just here in March, y'all.
What a new release.
And now he's back again with his new book, The Mask of Masculinity.
Yes.
If you guys don't know who Dr. Eddie Connor is, he is a motivational speaker,
pastor,
author, mentor, professor, your friend, our friend, and he's back here to talk about his book.
He is. And I think that it's great to have him back right now because this is the month of Father's Day.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And
it's Men's Health Month.
Men's Health Month. So it's all about the man, the month of the man. Can we get some on that?
Yes. And it's
Black History Month.
Black
Music Month. That's what it is. It's Black Music Month. So what you listening to?
Right now, Kendrick Lamar is just living rent free in my head. So I'm rocking with Kendrick all probably a year until I could just master the whole album.
I would have to say so. Me and Dr. Eddie Connor was just talking about that before he came, and I just think that it's a timeless album and that it's going to grow a lot of people up. Just a great therapeutic listen for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So hey, Dr. Connor.
Hey, welcome.
One of my blessed friends. Throw some Z's on it.
We are very blessed to have you back.
We are.
Glad to be.
And we most definitely want to hear all about the Mask of Masculinity.
Yes, we do.
But before we start, can you just tell us what you're listening to these days?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You know, even with the book, I put a playlist at the end of it that really helped to sculpt and create, you know, this new project. But I'm listening definitely to Kendrick. You know, I'm listening to Kendrick Lamar. You know, whether it's Mirrors, whether it is Father, I think it's a song called Father Issues or something like that. Just, you know, it's a therapy session.
It is.
And, you know, the musical flow and influence and just the openness, the transparency, you know, the negativity and even the tranquility and not tap dancing around our issues anymore.
Absolutely.
Talking about it.
Yes, put it to the forefront.
Yeah, bring it to the forefront.
Yes,
so
bring it to the forefront.
Yeah. I like that album.
I do too.
We do. We loving it. Definitely living rent free right now.
Oh, facts.
All out in my spirit.
Okay. Well, we want to just get into it because, you know, we love to talk to Dr. Eddie. We like to talk to him. So we want to just go ahead and kind of jump right into the Mask of Masculinity.
Yeah. What's special about this for you?
You know, to me, this became like an emancipation proclamation. This became like a rites of passage for me, you know, writing this book, because there were some things I needed to heal from as a man, and even bring healing to our brothers as well became so therapeutic and transparent for me to actually, you know, put my pain on paper, turn into power, to recognize and realize, you know, being a man is hard work, but it's heart work. And even, the title Masculinity, and even the Mask of Masculinity, masculinity, the prefix is pronounced mask. We so, easily go through life wearing a mask. We've been taught and told, man up, don't cry, keep it inside, be a tough guy, all of those things that really become deleterious to us, moving in a place of vulnerability, dealing with emotional incarceration, psychological pain, intergenerational trauma. And I really wanted to write about it. Even the subtitle of the book is How Men Can Reclaim Their Identity, Lead in Love with Vulnerability. And think about what's going on. Our sons are dying. Marriages are crumbling. 68% of our children are born without a father in the home. 85% of the men who are incarcerated don't know their father. 80% of the suicides in these yet-to-be United States of America are committed by men. And so we're dying silently, and I wanted to really give voice to our pain to really remedy, our issues.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now you state that you wanted to, that you were going through some personal things. Animated, you want to write this book. What are some tools that you have used that you may have wrote about in this book that you can share with other men that they can use in order to start that process of healing?
Yeah, I think, for me, sharing about, my brokenness with my father not being in my life, the father wounds that a lot of times we carry, what Kendrick Lamar was talking about, on his album. The bitterness of what I had, the people I thought were praying for me, literally praying on me, my own mistakes, my own pride, my own ego. Whenever you ego tripping, you always gonna fall. And I think being able to actually take off that mask, actually look at ourselves in the mirror, not just the beauty, not just the handsomeness, but to see the ugly and say, hey, you know what? I need Jesus and therapy.
Absolutely.
Counseling
they can
and therapy.
coexist.
They can coexist.
Absolutely.
Counseling and therapy is not taboo. It's for me and you. And I think also being able to surround yourself with a brotherhood that talks about more than just money, sports, and women, but actually has some real deep conversations. In the multitude of counselors, there is safety. Yeah. So men need mentors. Mentorship is not just from older to the younger generation. You can't even spell mentors without men.
Absolutely.
We need it.
We all need mentors in every phase of our lives.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, I think we're not just in a pandemic, we're in a mandemic. Yes, as New York Times mentioned during the pandemic, the relationships that have really been hit and cut to the bone were relationships with men, because we only got around each other for a sporting event, for an activity, whatever the case may be. And so when all of that was shut down, we shut down.
What you got?
Right? So where can you go to talk about many of those things if you don't have a brotherhood that has some depth to it? So I think, the counseling, therapy, and also creating your brotherhood, reaching out is important.
How do you? Okay.
No, I was.
How do you get men to do this? Because we know that in our society, it's frowned upon, kind of, to get men to talk about their feelings, to talk about their trauma. Some men don't even know that they have trauma, like you were saying. Some men don't know that they're walking around with bitterness from being fatherless, So how do we get these men in room to talk about these things? What would you say?
Or what have you observed?
Yeah.
Specifically in the Black community, because we know that in other races, they tap into the resources that they have, because a lot of them do have access. But what specifically have you observed or read about research that you see in the Black community?
That's like a two-part.
I'm sorry. We got too many questions for you, Doc.
Most definitely. Hidden from all sides. I think it really just correlates with one or two, real heart-to-heart conversations, whether it's around an event, whether it is just, a lot of times, when we see women who are in our space trying to have conversations like we have, we don't want to be open with it. But when it is, connected to 5 or 6 brothers or a men's conference or something like that, and it's just exclusively men, now we're actually able to rip apart many of the issues of what it is that we go through, right? Taking that mask off. And, I think it is, the courage of us being able to step out and talk about what happened when you were 7 years of age. The person who you thought was going to heal you and help you, but wound up hurting you and harming you and touching you inappropriately. And now what you've done is you've, moved into a ego aspect of masculinity to where you just want to be totally tough to ignore the pain of what it is that you went through. And now you've been so, the vault door of your emotions have been so shut because you've been socialized by society. This is what men don't do. And now you can't be vulnerable in your relationships with people. And so I think it is a heart to heart. It is a man actually having to get to that level of maturity. When I was a child, I spake as a child, I understood as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. Things don't just leave by osmosis. You have to actively put it away.
Intentionally.
Yeah. And with that intentionality. And sometimes it takes a divorce, unfortunately. Sometimes it takes a diagnosis of cancer like I had. Sometimes it takes, all of those negative things for many of us as brothers to wake up. But I think the earlier we do it, the better, versus waiting until you're 60, 70, 80 years of age. And now you have no choice but to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because of, body broken down, mind, whatever, confined to a wheelchair, all those things. So I think it is, the day-to-day self-check internally to see where it is that you are. And a lot of times, when we feel like, oh, I'm feeling this pain, I'm feeling vulnerable about this, we shut it out. We shouldn't allow other people to make us feel bad for what we went through and how we feel vulnerable about what it is that we experience.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would agree. How would you define masculinity? Because we know society has... they have defined it for many men. But in your research and writing this book, how would you define it?
Yeah, I even define, I think masculinity comes from a place of healing, of maturity. I don't think there's any respectability without responsibility. And masculinity has just seemingly been inherently bad. I mean, we call it toxic masculinity. And to even have a positive view of it, we have to attach an adjective to it. Healed masculinity, matured masculinity, versus just being on his own masculinity. And I think what we have to do is we have to redefine it, because it has been so broken down to where being a man or being masculine is about dominating,
macho,
about being the right macho, machismo, being the lone wolf, being aggressive, control, alpha man, right? When all of that is, totally antithetical to what real masculinity is all about.
Absolutely.
I think as men, we lead best when we love most.
Yes.
And we always talk about, know who you are, love yourself, know who you are, know your worth. And we just attach that and associate that to women.
Yeah.
When really it's for us as men as well.
Yeah. It's beautiful when you find a man that know his worth and know his
facts.
Self.
Absolutely. And so, masculinity and even man, I define even man as mature, assertive nurturer. That maturational development, being assertive, having a backbone as a man, being able to not be so passive or aggressive, but actually be able to stand your ground. And saying no sometimes is yes to yourself.
Yes.
And then nurturing is oftentimes attached and associated to women, but you don't, as a man, you don't handle a baby like you handling the bricks.
You don't.
You got to have some tender love and care, and it doesn't diminish or delineate who you are as a man. And you being able to stand up and be a provider, protector, priest of your home. No, it's just something that adds to your toolbox and to your tool belt to be able to nurture, to provide, to protect, to actually love.
Yes, I would agree.
Absolutely.
How do we, I don't know if your book speaks to this, but with so much going on in our schools, we see children, boys, young boys killing, going into schools and supermarkets. How do we speak to younger men to get them to start doing the work a lot sooner? Because we know that trauma starts to happen a lot earlier in life, right? And so we see that when people act out in violence, majority children, it's some form of trauma there. So how do we start to get young men to start doing the work a lot earlier?
Yeah, I think we have to, from the womb, really start redefining what being a man and being masculine is all about.
Yeah.
90% of the serial killings are committed by men. Hurting people hurt people, heal people heal people, and being actually able to deal with the emotional issues of how to handle anger. We're not taught about how to handle anger as a man. Generally, the times that we show emotion is in a fit of rage. We show it, when we're cheering for the sports team or when we're playing sports. Whether it's whatever place in life it is, we're not shown and even taught how to handle our anger.
True.
And as a result, we operate more like the Hulk than really being who we are as David Banner.
Yes.
And so showing our brothers how to handle distress, how to not bottle up their emotions, how to actually unpack what they're feeling, how to be vulnerable and express what it is that they're feeling. Because we become so emotionally inept being able to express ourselves because we think, talking about our issues, talking about our feelings is something that's what girls and women do. And so because of it, it's like you boiling a pot of spaghetti after a while and you don't take the lid off, that thing is going to boil over, it's going to explode, and you're going to explode on somebody else. And so as young as we can possibly be to rear and show our young men, you don't have to fight with your fist. You can actually address the issues face to face, mediation, talking about the right things, and actually sharing how it is that you feel.
Yeah.
So what would you say to, because we know there are a lot of single parent homes that are being ran by women. What would you say to a mother who is concerned about their black baby? What could a woman do in order to help start that process of healing for their son?
Yeah, because we know it's some healing needed when you're raised in a fatherless home, right?
Right.
So what does the single mother do?
Yeah.
Therapy. I mean, what can we do? Because it just breaks my heart. When I was 12 years old, my cousin, at the age of 16, he committed suicide. From the outside, I mean, he his family had money. He had the best of clothes, all the things that appear great on the outside, but on the inside, he was dying, where he shot himself in the head. And when I have nephews and brothers and cousins and sons, and I want to do something to prevent those type of things that from happening. And there's not a lot of men I see that are open to mentoring my baby. These babies are reaching out to them. And although, we have books and things on social media, these younger folks, that's not how they communicate at times. So how do we grasp their attention or help them so that they can begin to process themselves and their trauma at at whatever stage they are developmentally?
Yeah, I mean, being hit from all sides. I was raised by a single mother, and I had a lot of anger inside because she was standing in proxy for an absentee father. A lot of the stuff I couldn't say to him, and when I was stressed, when I was depressed, it came out to her. And, that wasn't always the right thing to do because there was a sign of disrespect. She had to place me around, for instance, a grandfather who told me, hey, Eddie, you don't have to tell anybody how good you are. If you're good at what you do, they'll tell you. Taught me how to tie a tie. Taught me how to be tied to success. Taught me and showed me what being a real man was all about. Not just in words, but in deeds. Positive other male mentors stepped up into my life. Gratefully, a former principal. There was a homebound teacher when I was, battling stage 4 cancer. I couldn't go to school. And then even virtual mentors, because, there were times, yes, she did take me to counseling, but there, with the inflation, with the gas prices, all types of things, everybody doesn't have, COVID. Everybody doesn't have the money and the resources to be able to afford that. And so, virtual mentors, beyond, just seeing the rappers and the entertainers on TV, being able to place your young people in front of positive men. YouTube is a source. Who are actually teaching fundamental skills of what being a boy and being a man is all about. And just continually reiterating that message. Being intentional about it, training up a child in the way that they should go. When they're older, they're not going to depart from it. They may stray away a little bit, but hey, they're going to always come back to it. And I think, continually doing that through the level of love and compassion and actually having real conversations that go just beyond a switch, go beyond just a belt, but actually unpacking what it is that the bitterness of what they have experienced or what they've seen in the home, to actually remediate that issue. I think that we just have to have more courageous conversations, with our children and place them and expose them. Tavis Smiley said young people like Kodak film, all they need is development and exposure. So, focusing what we're developing and also exposing our young people to is really going to put them on a positive trajectory.
Agree.
Yeah, thank you. While we're talking about women, because I think that women equally play a part in this falsehood of masculinity in society. What would you say that women need to do to help support men, to help take the mask off and to walk more into their true masculinity?
Yeah, I think even from boyhood to manhood, if a mother's telling her son, you just like your father. You ain't no good, just like your daddy. He's not gonna want to grow up to be like his father, connect with his father, much less even probably be a man. Right? He's gonna want to operate in that grown boy. What are the stories and the messages that we're giving to our children? And I think healing, doing your own personal healing from the trauma or from the bad relationship, and not dumping that onto the child as if the child is a mistake. And now they internalize that through their world. And yeah, I'm going to be a tough guy. Yeah, I'm not going to, connect emotionally with anybody because I'm still dealing with the trauma of what I experienced from my mama.
Absolutely. So it needs to be a partnership in that.
Exactly.
You can't tell him to communicate if you're not communicating or being transparent.
Right. And so I think, our mothers, our women have to be intentional with creating safe spaces for our men to be vulnerable. It's easy for us to shut down. We'll put a vault door on it and forget the code on purpose.
Throw the key away.
You know it.
We hear that a lot. Yeah. We've had many men on our show that say that women do that. Like,
look at them as weak.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Soft, they don't. When they open up and try and talk about their feelings, they laugh at them. If they cry, ignore it. Yeah.
They challenge, they question their sexuality. It's just, it's mind blowing.
Yeah, we definitely have to do better as women to help you guys. It's a partnership, like she was saying, even from mother to son, husband to wife, brother, sister. We just have to do better as a community for each other.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's kind of heavy. Because, I know that you're a minister as well. And in this society, we know now that the connection with spirituality and our men, you don't see a lot of brothers like it used to be back in the day actually entering churches. You see churches are predominantly women.
Facts.
So I don't even know what I'm trying to just, how do we connect spirituality
and
spirituality and masculinity.
Yeah, how do you do that?
It's so interconnected, but you don't have, men in the church to be able to get mentored by these men of faith. So how do we reach them?
Or when you see this happening, we see so many stories of men or boys who do go to church to get preyed on, right, in some cases. So then some women, don't want to send their children or let their kids, be a part of youth ministry with other men because of that. So how can we connect that and get more boys and men back into their spirituality?
Because it's important to have that component. At least I feel like it.
I do too. I mean, to be spiritual is being one with yourself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you think about even in Scripture, whenever Jesus healed men, it was a restoration of vision. And I think a lot of times us as men, we have lost our vision. We have lost sight of who we are because of what has been transpired in our lives, because of the trauma we have experienced, because somebody dropped us, they hurt us. We're having a Mephibosheth moment, going through life limping and being lame. When you think about Adam in Genesis, when he sinned, God asked him, Adam, where are you? And it's a call back to conscience. Where are we in our family? Where are we in our life? Where are we spiritually? Where are we socially and emotionally? Because we're just going through life on autopilot. And I think one of the things is that as men, we don't necessarily receive teaching emotionally. We receive it logically. How can I better my family? How can I better my community? How can I better my world beyond just Christian calisthenics? And, I'm hooping and hollering and all this other stuff. What is the practical wisdom for me to actually improve my life and my family?
Practical.
Right? And practical wisdom. And the thing is, whenever women come to church, 45% of the time, their men come. Whenever a man goes to church, 95% of the time, his children and his whole family comes. Right? And so when our brothers are coming into the church, and a lot of times they have a negative view of, the pastor, the preacher, and all this other stuff, being actually able to give them practical wisdom. This is how you improve. This is how you take your life to the next level. These are the components of manhood and development versus just emotionalizing every specific thing. How does it become logical and how does it become practical, where I'm not just, talking about you, but I'm actually talking to you so that I can get this word through you and in your spirit.
Yeah,
there's a lot of judgment that's associated with that. So that's good when you say talking to you and not talking at you.
Right.
Yeah, putting ourselves in that place and letting them know that you're not alone. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Ooh. I'm processing so it's hard to get that because I'm trying to soak in this information. I'm like, girl, you the interviewer, you gotta.
So with this book, let's talk some more about the book.
Facts, yeah.
What would you say was your best part about making the book? Like, what would you say? What did you find? You said it was therapeutic for you. Like, what was your favorite part about making it?
I think it's just the whole aspect that I had to take my own medicine before I gave a prescription. You know what I'm saying?
That's usually
yeah.
You got to be real with yourself before you can be real with others,
Right. Checking my mental health, my mental well-being, my emotional intelligence. Calling into question, how can I communicate more effectively? How can I, look at my own life and see how I can be my brother's keeper, my sister's protector. Boyz II Men had this song called Khalil back in the day, and they asked the question, even in the song, specifically thinking, I'm changing from Boyz II Men. No one to guide me. I'm all alone. I need shelter from the rain to ease the pain of changing from Boyz II Men. And
one of my favorites.
And really, if we don't look at our lives, we'll have the bravado and the machismo of what it looks like to be a man, but we're still dealing with the boyhood on the inside of us that has not been healed, right? Grown boy. And there's a kid in every king. There's a king in every kid.
Absolutely.
And really being able to check yourself internally and see where it is that you are, and really give freedom for our brothers to let them know, you can, be emotional. You can deal with it. You can really find the healing from the vestiges of your past. Despite what has taken place, there's freedom, there's hope for you. so many of our brothers are depressed. So many of our brothers are dealing with pornography and battling addiction and alcoholism and all those other specific things, because they're using it as a method to deal with the pain versus addressing it as an escape, you know? And so not escaping it, but addressing it, you know, and really confessing. You can't heal from what you don't deal with. You can't address what you won't confess. You know, you can't fight what you won't face. And being able to do all of that, you know, takes the mask off and moves you into the power of your masculinity and your identity.
Yes, that is good. That is good. So what can these men look for in this book?
I was going to say, talk to the reader right now. What they getting.
What they getting.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's straight no chaser, raw, real, uncut, unadulterated truth. You know, you're going to get chapters such as, you know, the tales of the toxic male, you know, Superman syndrome, king, which I define as keenly intelligent, noble gentleman. You know, being able to be, you know, we can easily say, yeah, I'm a king this, but what are the attributes and the traits?
Yeah, what you a king of?
Right. You know, and I think you have to be able to manage and rule your own spirit first before trying to rule a domain. There's 12 specific aspects to this book as well, towards the back of it, where I'm giving our brothers just real particular insight of some practical steps of what you can take from the book. Then also there's a self-inventory. There's a journal aspect to the book, to where actually our brothers are able to ask questions and answer those questions about where it is that they are in their life. Just wanted to make it really well-rounded. It's not beating up our brothers at all. It's really championing their strength, and just really want to use this book as a canvas to paint, you know, the chasm, the chaos, the critics, and then also the conquering power of what it is to be a man, and to celebrate that in the midst of masculinity being under assault, and really finding our identity, you know, in this country.
Yes. Thank you for that.
Awesome. You know, we have Father's Day coming up this month, and you spoke about, you know, you having to heal from your father. You know, what would you say to that person or that man who needs to address those feelings? You know, some people feel like they need to tell their father that he was a bad father, or that they can't find healing from those relationships without speaking to them. What would you tell that fatherless child today?
Yeah, I would tell you, just because you don't have a daddy doesn't mean you don't have a destiny. And just because, you know, whatever issue it is that has been with your father doesn't mean it distorts your future. You can still find healing. You can still use your pain as power. You know, for me, not having a father, you know, to a certain degree some people would say, yeah, it was a curse, but it also became a blessing. Because I've been able to connect with so many other brothers who, young and old, who feel that they don't have anything to live for, that they don't know who they are as an individual, because the mirror of who they are supposed to be, they can't even connect to. You know, how do I become a man if I don't see one? How do I play a role if I wasn't given a script? And being able to chart your course and be intentional about getting around people who are where you want to be.
That's
you
a
know,
big one.
Being able to have an ear that's receptive to listen to those who are older, you know, reaching out, whether it's on social media, whether it's within your family, whether it's in your community, to find powerful brothers who, yeah, they may have been on a journey of pain, but they've, you know, transitioned their life to a different level. They've shifted. You know, I think those are some of the building blocks to that. And I think also forgiveness.
Yes.
That's
you know,
the big one right there.
Yeah.
I was waiting for that one.
You got to forgive to live. For me, I had to forgive my father for not showing up for me in the hospital. I had to forgive him for not being there when I was at death's door. You know, sometimes you got to forgive people who may never give you an apology. If you're going to really live, you got to forgive. You got to unpack that bitterness. And sometimes forgiveness is not just episodic, it's a process.
Yes.
You know,
it's triggering.
And if you can't get in touch with your father, whether he's alive or whether he's gone on, you know, he's passed on, maybe you have to write a letter. Maybe you have to send a text message. Maybe you have to set up a time to where, hey, Pops, let's break some bread. Let's go grab some coffee or something. I want to unpack some things that I've been holding on to for my own freedom. You know, and, you know, if he's receptive to listen, great. If not, you know, you just have to say, hey, this is where it is. You know, maybe he's not in a place of maturity to be able to listen, you know, and take him off the hook. Maybe he was dealing with some things to where he could not step up to the plate.
Absolutely.
And that's a huge one. Because as parents, we don't know what our parents were dealing with.
Right.
You know, what traumas they experienced.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that when you put yourself in your parents' shoes, I think that's what was very key for me when it comes to my father, because he was there, but it was also some things he didn't provide. And when I was able to look back at it, I was like, how did he know? Who taught him? You know, he didn't know how to be emotionally available for me. He wasn't even emotionally available for himself. You know, his parents wasn't. He was from 14 kids. You know, how much emotional support could they really have given him? And he was number 5 of 14. So just putting yourself in your parents, primarily your father's shoes, makes a difference. I agree.
Yeah, and I think you're so right about that. I think looking at that intergenerational trauma, you know, psychological incarceration, emotional incarceration, and pain causes us to reparent ourselves. You know, sometimes you have to look at the childhood picture of where your life was and affirm that child in you.
All the time.
You know?
Speak on it.
You got to speak life into the life that you've now grown through and go back and say, you're going to be great.
Yes, I got you.
Love
Come
you.
on.
I support you.
Yes, I got us. I know you didn't trust me before, but you can trust me now.
Absolutely.
You definitely have to talk. I talk to that little girl.
Yeah, that's right.
You know? We kick it.
That's your first best friend, right?
Yes. I'm like, come on, girl.
Yes. We got this.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
That's phenomenal. Yeah. Well, hey. Tell them where they can get it
Where
from.
can they get it? How soon can they order it? How we gonna make it number 1?
Facts.
Okay, Okay. You getting this for your father. Mothers, you getting this for your sons. Come on, tell them how they get cousins, neighbors, the mailman, everybody.
Yes.
You know, any man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, this is a book. It's so heartfelt. It's so personal. It's so powerful to me. It is so empowering. It's probably one of the most important books I've ever written. And, you know, it's a book written, of course, for our brothers, but also the women who love us, like yourself. It's available right now, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, Audible. It's coming out June the 14th, Tuesday, June 14th.
June 14th.
Yeah. But
put it in your calendar.
That's right. Put it in your calendar, save the date. Revolution not only be televised, it'll be digitized. If you want a signed copy, go to dreddieacademy.com/men. This is a book that's going to empower us to begin again from cover to cover.
Yes, put
the
some
book is going to empower you to recover.
Throw some Z's on it.
Yeah. You throw some Z's on it, but it's going to wake you up. You feel me?
Yeah, energize.
It's time to take the mask off.
We taking it off. Mask off.
Mask off.
Yeah, not the future way either, but the real way.
I'm going to really help you step into your future, you know what I'm saying?
And we want that. We want that. We want that. Yes.
Because we love our men.
We do.
We do.
It's just hard to, you know, when you bring these issues up, because sometimes we can see it. We can see that. We can observe that you're going through this pain. We see the trauma. And then when you're rejected, like, no, I'm not going to do anything about it. It's like,
it's hard for us to watch.
Like, how do we help? Or won't you let us help you?
Yeah, like, just let me help you.
But I'm glad they can come to you.
Yeah, for sure.
He's providing the tools for you. I just gave a glance, some really, really good titles and just topics that you're touching in there. I'm sure it's going to be an amazing read for a lot of people. So thank you for your labor of love.
Yes,
We
thank you so much. Thank you. Yes. Well, you guys heard it here.
First.
No, we might have not been first.
But they heard it first on Blessed Combos. Our Blessties heard it first.
I couldn't release it until I let the Blessties come through. You know what I'm saying? Let y'all bless it.
His word. He said he was coming back, and he did.
So thank you so much for blessing our platform again.
We appreciate
you guys
it.
heard him. Go get the Mask of Masculinity on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, iTunes, Dr. Eddie Academy.com.
Yes.
/mask or
yes. And you can definitely get it from our page. I'll definitely post it if you want to get the link to get it, because we will definitely be sharing it. Shout out to Kelly over there.
Yes, his publicist for always showing us love and making this connection. We appreciate you so much.
We do.
You guys get the book.
Get that book.
And we'll see you.
Yes, we'll be back in July.
Yes, we will.
We will be back. Get ready. We got some fire coming.
We've been working in the trenches, you know.
We have. Just because you ain't seen us don't mean we ain't been working.
And that's just how it is.
Yes.
So we appreciate you and enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Happy Sunday. Have a great week.
Yes. Bless these out.
Holla.